to the cloud.
It's recording.
Yeah, I've got a record.
Brilliant. Oh, I think we might have just gone live on Facebook then whilst I was having that conversation. Okay, that's okay. Right. Showing a page you manage. Oh, next. Oh my goodness me. I always forget that this little beginning faffy bit takes ages. Oh no, don't die, internet. Internet. Come back. Come back, internet. Okay, internet's back. Panic. Hey. Shut your groups. I'm still fund. Little helper. Right, okay. Next time I speak, we will be live. You ready?
Helen.
Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's go. Good evening, everybody. Hi, welcome to the Mommy's Gin Fund Facebook page. Apologies if you just got a little 10-second clip there of me trying to press record. We may or may not have just gone live. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're back. Another lockdown live, another Facebook live here for Mommy's Gin Fund. So before we start, let me just tell you who these gorgeous people are all around me. So the lady in blue, this is beautiful Olivia. Now, hi. So Olivia is basically the opposite of me. Olivia spends her day decluttering and clearing and making everybody feel wonderful and calm and peaceful, which is basically the total antithesis of me. And then you will also see that I have two very handsome chaps with me. I was going to say the guy in the black top and the glasses, but they both, oh no, Ross doesn't have glasses. Okay, so black top, no glasses is gorgeous Ross, who is going to be interpreting for us. Thank you very much, Ross. And the other gorgeous guy in the black top with glasses is John, who is currently interpreting. So massive thank you to both of them for giving up their time voluntarily to interpret for all of us thank They're going to pop in and out throughout the evening. So that'll make you jump. If you start nodding off, one of them will pop up and that'll wake you up. So thank you very much, interpreters. So, Olivia, we're here. I'm very excited. Can I just say, I am cheating a little bit tonight. For those of you who follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you may notice that behind me isn't actually my house. Now, I promise you, the only reason that is because the lighting in my house is horrific. Nobody can see me after about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And also, it's full of bloody kids. So I have to... This is my Airbnb behind me. So don't worry, I've not broken any kind of lockdown rules. This is my own Airbnb in my garden. So when lockdown is over, come and visit, come and stay here. But yeah, my actual house does not look like this. So whilst we are just waiting for people to join, I have a favor to ask you. If you are watching, I would love you to let Olivia and I know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what level carnage is your house at the moment? So 1 is my house is beautiful and peaceful and calm, and I tiptoe through my beautiful hoovered carpets and smell the scent of cleanliness. That's number 1. Number 10 is it's utter carnage. Lego all over the floor, nappies, God knows where, kids everywhere, a total mess. So whilst you are settling in to watch us tonight, I would love to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is beautiful, peaceful and calm, and 10 is my house. Where on that scale is yours. So Olivia, of course, I have to start by asking you. Mine obviously is number 11. I'm not even going to pretend that it's anything other than 11. So Olivia, number 1 is beautiful, peaceful and calm. Number
Definitely
10,
not number 1.
carnage. What is your house?
I think it's pretty much what it is on a daily level. Remember that my children are older. I have a 10 and a 14-year-old, and I think that makes a huge difference. But I would probably say 4. A lot of the time, and this is what I'm going to be talking about, that you just got to give that up, and it's your home, so it can be whatever you want it to be. But yeah, I've got washing, I've got children making dinner. Hopefully the house won't explode in front of me. I haven't put washing away. I haven't, you know, there's stuff. So yeah, no, that's how, and I usually live like that, actually. I do not live in perfection. So
I feel slightly better, although I do think you're lying a little bit. I do think you're probably much closer to a 2, maybe a 2, a 1 or a 2.
And definitely not a 1, and definitely not a 2. Maybe a 3 or a 4.
3 on a good day.
A 3 on a good day when I'm feeling good. But
I would say the best day I've ever had in my entire life, I was probably about a 7.
Yeah, but you have kids.
Whatever. Do you know what? But on that note, we are like, let's be really sensible here. We are not here to tell you how to create a beautiful show home.
No.
We are here to teach you, not me, I'm not going to teach you anything. Olivia is here to teach you how to create a home that you feel comfortable in, that you feel safe in, that you feel happy in. So whether there is still crap all over your floor, really is kind of irrelevant, isn't it? Because we're talking about having a house that you feel peaceful and calm in. So I'm just going to double check that we're live in the right place, and also just remind everybody that we are very open to comments. We are very open to questions. So it's 8 o'clock on Monday evening. If you're watching live, post your comments now and your questions now. If you're watching on catch up, please do still post your comments, post your questions, and Olivia and I will both come back and see them later. So Olivia, I'm just going to have a quick look for comments and questions. Whilst I'm doing that, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Helen. So I'm Olivia. I originally founded House PA about 8 years ago. So I've been working around South London, which is where I live, in Lewisham, for the last 8 years in people's homes. And proper South London.
Lewisham.
Oh
Big
yeah,
up to Lewisham.
We love Charm Village. Yeah, so I then the business has grown, and I've taken on a business partner, which is why we've changed to Hayworth Gordon. But what we do is work in people's homes, and a lot of what I'm talking about tonight is what I have learnt along my journey of running House PA as a working mum. I have a 10-year-old, a daughter who's my own, and living with us at the moment is my 14-year-old stepson. So do keep in mind that my perspectives are from having older children and not having toddlers running around my feet, which is when my home would be definitely a 10 and 11. And my thoughts and my theories are have been developed over my time working. So there's no right or wrong. A lot of them are what I've gathered along the way. Yeah, I hope it's a bit more sort of theory based than sort of practical, which I know you've had and which is fantastic. But having time on my hands, I've actually, which I don't usually have, I've actually thought a lot deeper into the importance of a home and the barriers that stop us from creating a home.
So, Olivia, unsurprisingly, there are about 11 million people watching us at the moment, because it would appear that, what a surprise, everybody in the world has a house that's slightly carnage. So for those of you that are just joining, if you're wondering why everybody's posting numbers in the comments, that is because when we started, I asked everybody to grade the carnage in their house. From level 1 is my house is peaceful and calm and gorgeous and wonderful. And level 10 is my house looks like Helen's, it is total carnage. So please do let us know in that scale where you are. So at the moment we've got, Olivia, just to let you know, we've got a 5, 3, 6, 7, 4, 5. Come on, ladies, come on. I am not the only 10. Come on. I refuse to believe that I'm the only one that gets a 10. Oh, Anna's just given us an 8, so I feel a little bit better. But see, I'm being quite generous with 10. I'd say I'm more probably about a 352. But anyway, there we go.
You're very hard on yourself.
Right, Olivia, come on. I'm waffling. Tell us. Please help us.
So I just want to, I am going to read because I have made a lot of notes. So forgive me if I sort of go off screen, but I need to keep myself on track because I'm aware of time. But I really wanted to look at how in this time where we've changed, being at home 24/7 has become our new daily routine, and in this uncertain and overwhelming time, why don't we use it to reflect on what we need and we want from our home? And how does your home make you feel with all your family being in it all the time? And is there room for embracing change and clearing some clutter? So I want to look at how we start achieving a sustainable everyday happiness by looking at the barriers to creating a peaceful and simply organized home. Now, when I'm in clients' homes every day, when I'm not in lockdown, obviously, because I haven't been going into any clients' homes recently, I give a very practical approach. But within the practicalities, I've noticed over the 8 years the trends of clutter, physical clutter, that manifests itself as emotional clutter. So you can't have one without the other. It's just impossible. So those barriers is what I'm going to be looking at, because there's a lot of decluttering and quick fixes that's available over social media now. There's a lot of decluttering tips, challenges that give you the practical advice of how to do it. But I think what is missing from a forum is the under the skin problems of why that clutter appears in the first place. So I'm going to briefly look at what those barriers are.
So I'm feeling fairly exposed, Olivia. I feel like you're going to be revealing my inner personality now.
Well, Helen, it might be, but none of this is what I want to say to everybody is that none of it is wrong. We all, as humans, all around the world, we deal with all of these, but they are something to reflect on, which I think in our society, and certainly in our Western society, we sort of skim over because we're so used to instantaneous fixes. Folding your socks is all very well, but it doesn't create and sustain a managed home. And I'm not in any way looking for a perfect home, but I'm looking for and what my clients are looking for is the luxury of time. So stuff is not a luxury. However big your home is not the luxury. It's the time and the peaceful time that you have within your home, which I think gets walked over for the manifestation of stuff and the goal to have perfection. Well, I don't ever see that. Even when I walk into clients' homes who lack time but live in perfection, happiness is not apparent. So I really just want to look at the importance of the home, how it mirrors ourselves. It reflects our interests, our beliefs, our hesitations, our resentments, certainly resentments at this time, but also our spirit and our passion, but not just for ourselves, but everybody that lives in our home with us. So when we're looking at ways to manage stress, people often overlook one of the simplest and most effective strategies, is which to create a peaceful, simply organized home. And I'm going to say it again, a peaceful, simply organized home.
I am so ready.
So
ready.
Simple, organized home.
Totally.
One thing I would like people to do is just take 3 deep breaths. When you're thinking about your home, I want you to think about the feelings. A home is not just stuff. It's not just the size of what we have, of what's in it and how much stuff we have. It's a feeling. And it's the feeling that I want us to think about tonight. So I want you to take a big deep breath in for 4 and out for 7. In for 4, out for 7. Once more. And I find actually a breath before tackling a task, having a conversation, talking to my children. I actually have it tattooed on my wrist as a reminder of how important it is to be grateful and to take a deep breath and remember that we can only ever try our best, that we don't have to have perfection in our lives, that we have ups and downs, and there's real, you know, we should be very grateful to have homes. I won't get political, but that's why I take deep breaths. So when we're rushing in the morning, oh no, sorry. So most of our days begin and end at home. I know we're not going out at the moment, but having a peaceful, simply organized home can help you launch us into the world from a less stressed place, and children love it. But so many people don't put the focus on assembling the elements to create a peaceful, simply organized home. We know the home is important, but for most, maintaining it and flourishing in it gets ushered to the bottom of the to-do list because we just don't have the time and we're always in a rush. So when we're rushing in the morning or collapsing late at night, cleaning and organizing is the last thing on our minds. However, when you consider the value of creating an inspiring place to wake up in and a soothing place to be at the end of the day and a relaxing place to live, it becomes apparent that creating a peaceful, simply organized homes can translate into energy saved and stress relieved. And I'm going to say it again, energy saved and stress relieved. So what I'm going to focus on for the next 5-10 minutes is just the barriers that I see every time I go into clients' homes, which stop us from creating a peaceful, simply organized home, because clutter does not appear on its own. It's a manifestation of our emotional and the people in our homes emotional living and how we are at that time. So I've got some brilliant quotes that I'm going to sort of hold up and read while I'm going through this. But the first barrier and the biggest barrier that I find is time. So no one wants to constantly be tidying up because it can be boring and overwhelming. Physical clutter is a direct response to emotional clutter. The drain on our energies, just looking at a cluttered environment reminds us on a daily basis of being out of control and feelings of guilt. I should be doing this, but I want to be doing that. It reminds us on a daily basis of what we should be getting done, but we're so tired and drained, we don't even know where to start. So I'm going to address the barriers, but also think about some remedies as well. So starting to take ownership of roles and breaking down the time you actually have to tackle tasks is a really good place to start. There's a fantastic quote that says, if you have time for Facebook, you have time for your home.
Olivia, does that mean I'm supposed to spend 12 hours a day cleaning? Because that's pretty much how often I'm on Facebook.
Well, it means maybe moderation and maybe you looking at what your vision and your goal is. It's all very different for different people, but if your clutter is causing you stress and guilt and resentment and the other barriers that I will mention, maybe you do need to moderate your time or pay attention to one area more than the other. So it's a work-life balance, isn't it? Your job is the internet, so you have to be involved there, but you also are bringing in up in your home the next generation. So we have, as and I will talk about gender, but we have a role, all of us in our homes, whether you live on your own or if you live with a partner, we have a role to create a home and a peaceful home for our children. So yeah, maybe 12 hours is too much on Facebook and a bit more on home, but I'm not to tell you that. Time is one of the most valuable and the most perishable of all possessions. So look as a possible remedy, if you have no time, focus more on what you are managing and less time worrying. So I think a lot of the time is spent in our own minds worrying about what we should be doing, and less time actually on doing what we know that we can to create a calmer feeling within our homes. And visual routines. And command centers where everybody in the home can see. So very visual reminders. As I say, I've got older children, so they're much more amenable to, I have a blackboard at the bottom of my stairs that have remind them to bring their remind me, my partner and my children to bring plates down, to wash their hands, to turn off lights. So I don't have to have the stress of saying it all the time. So think about those visual reminders, and expecting people, within time, we're all very busy. So how are people going to remember everything that they need to do? So visual reminders are a really good barrier against time. Are we okay for time, Helen?
We're absolutely fine. Don't worry. Everybody's very, there's 25 million people watching and they're all very interested in what you're saying.
Right. Okay.
But I remember, Olivia, you telling me, you look scared now. It was okay. It was good. I remember you telling me about having like a board with like the morning routine on for getting ready to go to school. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We did a Facebook Live before, didn't we? Last year sometime, about making the mornings less stressful. And you were saying like having a board with, teeth, breakfast, teeth, shoe, bag.
You had the TV bomb.
Yes, I did. Do you remember?
Really good. And I think visual reminders for everybody, for me, but because I wake up and I'm in a bad mood, or I don't want to remember, or I can't be bothered, or I've got my own things on my mind. So that barrier of time, there's a lot that we can do to make it easier in our day-to-day life that stops us becoming, that helps us create that sustainable home. So
Olivia, also sorry to interrupt you as well. This is a perfect answer because my beautiful friend Joe, somewhere at the top, I've lost it. But anyway, so Joe was saying, how do we get over Groundhog Day? And like having to just clean up every single day. But actually having those visual reminders like the pictures and the blackboard and things, hopefully that should reduce you having to do the same thing every day and asking the kids over and over and over again. Because you can just...
And depending on how old your children are, I mean, I haven't even, since lockdown happened, I have not gone into my children's room. I don't care what it's like. It's their space. And again, I must say that they're 10 and they're 14, and it's just something I don't want to have to, I've got so much else on my mind. I want to enjoy them. I don't want to just be annoyed and resentful of them because their room is not tidy. And I think it translates very much into us going out of Groundhog Day, and we'll learn quite a lot about how our home works, and where we find our happiness within our home. But visual reminders for everybody, because we can't expect everybody to remember all the time. And it has to be age appropriate. I think for when you have younger children, you just got to give it up. it's so much more important to teach them happiness, and they are sponges of how we speak and how they see us react. So if we are always stressful, we're always shouting, we're always demanding, they're going to pick up on that. I think younger children, and again, I must say, I'm at a much calmer stage in my life because my children are older and they can do a lot more for themselves. But and I'm always surprised how much they actually do, and how much they've actually listened to me. And if I leave them to it, they actually get on with stuff. So yeah, the visual reminders are great remedy for the lack of time. Another barrier is clutter. Now, clutter is one of the top barriers to creating a peaceful, simply organized home. Many people don't realize the toll it takes, draining us of time, energy, and money. It makes us cross and resentful. We feel out of control, and the clutter leaves us feeling negative with uncreative feelings floating around the house. Acquiring and holding on to and managing stuff is a full-time job. If every time you have to sift through a pile of children's memories, unpaid bills, unopened magazines, and dust just to find a school bag, you risk clinging on to the past and spending less time in the present, and with those that you enjoy spending time with. So there's actually a lot of theory about clutter and why we hold on to clutter. And I think one of the remedies, and I can work as Hayworth Gordon, if you go on the internet, there's loads of practical solutions to it. But I think if you look at why you hold on to clutter, certainly clutter from the past, and this is what I'm talking about with the barriers, you can work on clearing through it. Decluttering, I've said this quite a lot recently, decluttering is not the solution. It is part of the bigger picture of creating and sustaining a home. Just by decluttering, you will not maintain a happy home. We're not looking for the instant hit of joy, the temporary hit of joy. We're looking for the sustainable, long-term, daily feeling of happiness and stress relieved. So one of the biggest things that stops us that stops us looking at our clutter is procrastination. There's always something more interesting to do. And I pulled out an article from a magazine that very beautifully wrote about to stop procrastination. So everybody is prone to a bit of several hours of procrastination. With no magic fix, these are the strategies may help. So the bigger the task, the more likely we'll procrastinate. Just making a start helps stress levels fall. Break the task into smaller ones to tick off as you go. And remove distractions. So one of my biggest tools for decluttering is a time frame. So you get comfy clothes, you get a bottle of water, you get an egg timer, you take one job at a time, you put some music on. Music is magic to keep you on track. It stops you from being distracted, and it brings joy and happiness into the process rather than it being overwhelming. So I think stopping procrastination when we're looking at the barrier of clutter, and small steps at a time. Creating and sustaining a home is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 30 days. It takes a lifetime to create a home. And this is what we're looking at with our clients. So the next barrier is a work-life balance. Now, I don't know, we're not going out to work at the moment, or a lot of people aren't going out to work at the moment, but we're all busy, and we all get consumed in our own busyness. So there needs to be a little self-reflection and listening, understanding the work-life balance. Certainly if you live with somebody, you have to understand the work-life balance of yourself and your partner. For example, I have my own business and I stop at 3 o'clock to go and pick up my daughter from primary school. not now, but for the majority of time. Therefore, I have more time to cook dinner, to put a wash on. It's got nothing to do with gender. It's just that I have more time. He goes out to work and doesn't come back till late, so he doesn't have the time. So losing, and I'll talk about resentment and expectations in a moment, but you to make a household work, you're there because you love each other and you want to be in that home together. It's not just one person's role. You have to look and listen to the actualities of a time, a work-life balance, and what your priorities are. And my remedy for this is looking and talking as a family. Now, I would suggest going out of a home, even for your allotted hour, which we all get at the moment, and talking outside of your home, mainly because nature is has such a calming effect on everybody. And talking with your family about what your vision is for and what your goal is for your home. What are the feelings that you want it to create in you? How do we all make it work? Because it's not just one person's job. It's everybody who lives in the home's job. Even if they're a toddler, they don't get it, but they still consume the same space. So I think asking for help, and what people in your home, the jobs that they like doing. I had to sit down with my partner and we had to go through the list of what needed doing. We haven't children together, so we came to each other later in life when we both had children. I don't like to put the bins out. He doesn't mind putting the bins out. Right, your job. You can fit that into your daily life, and once you've delegated, leave it to them, and talk to each other. I think there's a big miscommunication in home management, which leads me very nicely into gender. Now, I could talk forever about gender roles. I did women's studies and sociology at university, so I love it. I find it fascinating. 95% of my clients are women, and I hear a lot of resentment and a lot of expectations that they don't get from the male in their life. I am going to plug one of the best books I have ever read. If you are a female, Under Saturn's Shadow, The Wounding and Healing of Men. I won't go into detail, but it will give you an idea of how much men also struggle with gender roles. And it gives you a little bit more gratitude and understanding that gender roles do play a big part. I have another article that I found that suggests why women but not men are judged for a messy home. So there's let me just find it.
I'm laughing because this is a conversation I have on a almost daily basis.
Do you? Yeah. So where
one person in my house gets phone calls with cleaning tips and advice for decluttering, and it's not my husband.
Yeah, so, but what we have to remember, I had a client once and she was consumed. She was cross. She worked as well. So she had every right to be cross, but she was so self-consumed. She did not, in her anger, think of how her husband was missing out on home, how he didn't get to spend time with the children, that he had to go to a job where his boss demanded of him, that he had to commute. And when I sort of just gently reminded her that maybe he might be feeling resentment and loss for not being able to bring up his children, she was like, yeah, oh my God. We sometimes lose ourselves in our own self-annoyance. And as women, and I'm going to say it with girls, as women, we can be I call it a maternal martyrdom. So we like to hold on to our roles. We like to feel that resentment, and we like to make our partners know about it. So, but a study shows that women, yeah, well, me too, women are actually our own worst enemy, because we judge each other for the state of our homes, whereas men do not judge each other if they have a messy home. And actually, what you're dealing with is somebody who loves being at home, who needs all comforts and joys of being at home, but just doesn't think the same way as you. And doing a bit of working on that, a bit of self-reflection, a bit of love and kindness can really close down. I've had to shut my own mouth and actually listen, and realize that I'm not the only person living in the home. If it's, and it's not just my home, and just because I think about it, I can't expect others to think about it in the same way. And if I live and consume myself in my own perfect space, but I don't tell anybody that, and I expect them to know, I'm setting everybody, including myself, up to fail. So there's some psychology and life coaching going on here, but I've really noticed it being in my home 24 hours, 7 days a week, in that the home means so much to everybody. It's not just me, but it means different things to different people and different genders certainly live in homes very differently. And just because we take the leading role, it doesn't mean that other people don't think about it as well. Open dialogue is the remedy, and letting go of some expectations when it comes to thinking about gender. Another quick one on gender is hormones. So I'm going to get a bit personal. I'm in my 40s. I'm not menopausal yet, but I'm certainly getting there. One thing I've had to learn certainly this month, with being at home all the time with my partner, is that I can't do anything in the home. I don't care about the home. All I want my home to do is envelope me so I can cry and be emotional. And actually, by doing that, my partner said to me, just go to bed, which I never have time to do before, because I'm always working and you sort of got to fight on through. So I actually took myself off. I let my home work for me rather than against me. And do you know what I found out? Everything happened without me. I could go off. I could take a little bit of self-care. I could do something for me so I could let go. Because what happens when I'm emotional and it's my time of the month, is they get rage because of my hormonal imbalance. So instead of portraying that into my home, if I actually listen to myself and say to my family, right, do you know what? I can't deal with all of this. I'm going somewhere else. And actually the home and my family, because they love me, actually helped me. And then but without that, when we were busy in my 24/7 day, life before lockdown, I'd never have done that. So really think about the feelings and the time that you have, and the home changes all the time. When you're dealing with very young children at the moment, and it's consuming. But actually, you might find that self-care and nurture and having time to yourself encourages them to take responsibility. But if we don't allow ourselves self-care and time to ourselves, they will never be given that responsibility. And if we don't tell them, they're not mind readers. So how will they know? So think about gender roles. Maybe do a bit of reading about it. That book is eye-opening about the males in our lives. The same with resentment. The next barrier, the big barrier that I see all the time in my work, are expectations and resentment, and how we hold on to them. It's a massive topic. but letting go of control and keeping kindness in your heart, taking deep breaths, and remembering that it's not just your home and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that that time is the luxury, not what the state of your house looks like. And letting go of that sort of mentality can be mind-blowing. It really can make a change.
I think what's been interesting, sorry Olivia, I think what's been interesting during lockdown in particular is seeing our home as a place of safety.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there will be some people whose home is not a place of safety.
Of course.
In general, with that caveat, in general, we are being encouraged to see our homes as a place of safety.
Yeah.
And actually, that is a really nice kind of mental shift to have. And that's certainly for me, because my house, we bought my house 2 years ago yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow.
And it is, shall we say, a doer-upper. It's in a terrible state. The family who lived here before had lived here for 35 years and had gone bankrupt very early on during that time. So they lived in one room and the rest of the house basically turned to rack and ruin. So at the moment, me, my husband and 2 of our children are actually sharing one bedroom. And the girls one girl's in one room and one girl's in another room. And we've got a bedroom that is completely uninhabitable. And the house is an absolute state, like we're having a huge renovation, hopefully, if it goes ahead in September. But I've been getting very resentful of my house and the way that it looks and the way that it makes me feel and how it stops me from having people coming over, because I am a very no mum left behind, always room for one more, my house is your house kind of person. And I'm used to having, like, my back door, I don't even close it, let alone lock it. You know, there's people coming in and out of my house all the time. And I'd got very annoyed, angry with my house, not with myself, but with my house, about the fact that I couldn't do that because it was in such a state. So actually now seeing my house as a place of safety during this whole thing is actually been really beneficial to me, and also Mr. Jin, Louis, as well, because we've both been really forced to reassess how lucky we are to have a house, first of all, but also how that house, once we're inside our house, we're safe. Yeah. So that's been, you know, that's something I really hope we carry on thinking as we move forward.
And this is why I was talking about, I could do a million hours on how to declutter. And as I said, it's all very relevant, but this time, I'm the same with you, Helen. It's really made me think about the importance of a home and the feeling and how I want my day to day to be with my family in my home. And it goes back to core values. You know, people are always good. It's the social expectations that we put on ourselves, especially as women. We put such high expectations on ourselves that it has to look perfect. Well, you've followed your dream. You've moved out of London and down to Devon. You have a beautiful, healthy family. It's all going to take time in a world where everything has become instantaneous. There's some things that just can't be. And what I think we have to do is look under the skin and a bit more at ourselves, and that sustainable happiness, rather than these temporary fixes of rolling socks, or making your home look beautiful immediately. The importance, as you said, is that you feel safe and that your home allows you to do that. I would love to swear blind, but who cares what it looks like? Now you might, but sometimes actually maybe we need to give it up a bit because it's keeping us safe, and we're lucky enough to have homes. And I hope that a lot of people come out of this. However the world comes out of this time, I hope people come out of it thinking more about the importance of their home and the feelings that we have to put into that. It's not going to happen overnight. These are real barriers that people face every day, but we've got to at least acknowledge them and not cover them over with declutter in 30 seconds, which is a lovely temporary hit, but it won't ever look at the sort of, you know, the resentment and the anger that you have and why you feel that, which is my last barrier.
I was just going to say, I think it's really interesting that I used to walk into my house and tense up, and immediately feel like, oh God. Whereas now I walk into my house and I go, thank God, I'm back. It's okay. And as soon as now I feel so much more, I feel so differently about my house, that it's making me be kinder to my house. So whereas before I would look at these piles of junk, and my house is very messy. It is messy. I've always had a messy house. Ever since I was a child, I had a messy bedroom. So I am just one of those people who will never live. This is my Airbnb for anybody who's just tuning in. This is not my house, I promise you. If you want to see what my house looks like, go to Mum's Gin Fund on Instagram, and there's a highlight called decluttering. Click on that and you will see what my real house looks like. This is my Airbnb. This is not my house. But now that I used to get angry, so I'd see piles of all this stuff and I would feel so angry that they were there, and why were they there? And I was constantly moving them around, and then I just, well, if you're going to sit there, I'm not going to pick you up. You know, I was getting really angry with them. Whereas now I feel so much kinder towards my house, that I want to look after it, and I want to make my house feel better. Like, it sounds really weird, but because I feel that now my house is a place of safety, which I fully acknowledge is an incredibly privileged position to be in. And I am very aware of that. And I'm very aware of the fact that not everybody feels like that. But I am lucky that I feel my house is a place of safety. And that in itself has allowed me to forgive the fact that there are literally holes in the floor, that the ceiling is literally falling down.
And that you, in any time, you have to give yourselves, I'm going to repeat myself, but we put so much pressure on ourselves. And actually things don't have to be, in our world, nobody's going to die if the washing's not put away. It's only the expectations and the core values that we have ourselves. And actually, as that article said, there's studies show that women are our own worst enemy. But if we look at the feelings that home create, that the feelings that if you let it go and you have an evening and it's messy, but you, instead of putting stuff away and worrying about it, you have an evening with the children and you have a giggle. We sat, and instead of doing stuff, we sat and played games last night, and it was so much fun. And that's what I want my home and my daily life to be, is that, yes, I want it to be tidy, I want it to be work. And this is where certainly with House PA and with Haworth Gordon, I've learned along the way that it's not about instantaneous hits of decluttering. If you don't have anywhere, if you declutter, it's great, but the clutter comes back if you don't have places for it. So you have to look at the sustainability of your home. And this is where we put simple home management systems in place, and a place for everything. So I don't know how long we've got left.
We've probably only about another 5 minutes, Olivia, I'm afraid. Right. We've got.
Let me give you so I want everybody to go away, and over this time, whether we've got a month, whether we've got 2 months, but as you've said, Helen, these feelings have come up in you that you've never felt before. So grab onto them. Think about your home as a place of safety, as readdress why your home works for you. It's where we spend every single moment of our day. So why should it not work in a peaceful way? We're not looking for, if perfection's your thing, fair enough, but we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for the sustainable happiness that our home can bring us. And that is maintained through self-reflection, through listening, by contributions from a family, not chores, the language you use, the self-nurturing that you give yourself, the understanding that everybody lives in a home, it's not just you and your home. And by doing declutter first. So my top tips is think about the feelings within your home, really address them, write a journal, speak to your partner about them, be honest, be open, get mad, be sad, be happy, but just talk about them, because at least then they're out there and they're not stuck in your head. I would then take one step at a time, and do little bits within you. You know where everybody knows where their priority areas are. So just focus on little jobs and start to finish. Once you've decluttered, the process of decluttering is to get everything out of the house that doesn't work, you don't love. You are then left in no particular order with everything that you love and you need in your home. Then the enjoyable part starts, where you can actually think about where it lives, where it's stationed. The key thing I have learned over 8 years is a place for everything and everything in its place. It creates and sustains a peaceful, simply organized home. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be all the batteries in one place. It saves money because you don't overbuy, but it might take you a lifetime to get there. Look at your core values as well, Helen. I think if you've always come from a messy home and you've always been messy, why fight against it? Why fight against it? It's your core value. So embrace it. Why is being messy a bad thing? Embrace who you are, but recognize who you are. And then over time, you will, when your children grow and they take more responsibility and life goes back to some kind of outside normality, they'll learn that happiness from a home comes from not doing everything all the time, but actually that a home can work for you rather than against you.
And that's exactly what I was just going to say, is that I feel like, this is turning into a bit of a therapy session, but I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels like this. And as everybody who follows Mommy's Gin Fund knows, I am a massive oversharer anyway, so I feel no shame whatsoever. But I think I personally have been fighting against my house for so long. And actually what this period now has really encouraged me to do is forgive my house in a way, which sounds really weird, and in turn forgive myself, which actually then the decluttering comes naturally. Because actually before it was like, right, I'm going to go and declutter the bathroom cabinet, and it was like this massive job, and it was like, oh God. Whereas now I walk into the bathroom and I'm like, oh, you poor bathroom, you don't look very tidy, let me help you. Like, I want to help my house because it's looking after me, and because I'm so grateful to have it even in its current state. I'm like, oh, you poor house, let me help you. And I'm looking at it, instead of thinking, oh, I'm so angry with you for being so messy, I'm looking at my house thinking, I'm so sorry that you look like this. Let me help you to feel better by putting stuff away.
That's exactly, you've summed up what it's taken me half an hour, 45 minutes. Is that it doesn't matter where you come from it, and the ripple effect, that's what I wanted to say. The ripple effect, when you look and you address and you readdress your values, how you look at things, how you look at your home. If you readdress how you look at your home, not just as a place to stay and to have, people over, which is what a lot of people thought within their sort of, in the old world almost, when we were too busy our home was just somewhere we lived in, and it was great if it was tidy, but it was, it was a sort of stopgap to be more successful, or being, out and about, or being at work. The ripple effect it has when you change how you approach your home, it is immense. And it happens really quite quickly. I'm always quite surprised when I work with clients and they acknowledge that they need to think about their home differently, because I talk like this with my clients as well. Because as I said, I can go in and do a one-off declutter, but the clutter will come back if your head is still cluttered.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so,
this is a feeling that I've had literally in the last 2 weeks, I would say. So,
and
you
I
know,
bet
like,
the ripple effect, Helen, has been immense.
so like 30 years I've been like battling the fact that I'm not a very tidy person. But
Yeah.
actually now it's like I want to look after I feel like my house is looking after me and my family. So I want to look after my house to say thank you.
Yeah.
But it is funny though, my friend Lucy, who is actually watching us tonight, I saw her name. So hi Lucy, I miss you. Lucy lives about 5 doors down. So hi Lucy. I actually invited Lucy to come over. Well, actually, she had to come over because I was looking after her children and she wanted to come and pick them up. And I was like, no, I'll drop them at your house, i.e., don't come in and see how messy my house is. But anyway, she came in anyway. And you know what happened? We sat on piles of clutter. She sat on the washing. I sat on a load of magazines. And we laughed. We laughed.
And actually, when we give in to ourselves,
And it was we had a laugh, and then they all stayed for tea. She sat on the baby's high chair because I didn't have enough chairs. I sat on like a dressing gown. It was completely random.
The important thing that our home creates is that it's a place for us to meet our friends. It's a place for us to engage with our children. It's a place for us to be in love with our partners, or be in love with ourselves, more importantly. What it looks like is, yes, it's important. And for some people, it's very important. And it's a daily task. But your friend, I had a friend come in and my house was messy. And she was like, you always say to me, oh God, thank God your house is messy. You always come across as so organized, but actually it's not. And all we did was giggle, and then that was it. Then we talked about our feelings, and she had stuff that she wanted to talk about. So, and the home was our vessel to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to grab a glass of wine, for it to envelope us and make us feel good about ourselves, rather than it making us feel bad about ourselves.
Olivia, I've just noticed the time, my love. We're going to have to stop. But I just want to say, I'm really sorry. I feel like I'm cutting you off. I could talk to you all night about this.
Oh, well.
But we will have you back. We definitely will, but we are going to have to stop.
Thank you, Helen. As always, you're brilliant.
I would love to say, well, thank you. I'm knackered. I don't know about brilliant. But anyway, I want to say a huge thank you to Olivia. A massive thank you to Russ and to John for interpreting for us tonight. Yes, thank you very much. All the interpreters that are working with me over this month are all donating their time for free to help me. So I am massively grateful to all of them. So thank you. For those of you who don't know, we have had events. This is week 3 of 5 weeks. We've had some amazing Facebook Lives over the last 2 weeks, including a brilliant one on decluttering with Ingrid from Declutter Hub. So, which is hard for me to say with my Loughborough accent, Declutter Hub. I feel like I should spell it. But anyway, Declutter Hub, with some really fantastic practical tips for decluttering. So combined with Olivia, this is like the perfect combination of Facebook Lives. We've had some toddler classes, some dance classes, some music. We've had pregnancy things. We've had all sorts of things. And coming up over the next 3 weeks, we have got even more amazing things. And every event has a sign language interpreter. So if you are deaf and you are watching this tonight, I want to say a very special thank you for watching, and an extra special massive welcome to Mommy's Gin Fund. I really hope that you're going to hang around and take part in the future events as well. When is it? Tomorrow, I think. I completely lost track of time. No, Wednesday, we have a family BSL class. So if you've been watching Ross and John and thinking, I wish I could sign, on Wednesday, we have BSL lesson with Marcel, who is deaf, and he's the guy from the corner of your TV. So you will definitely recognize him. And then on Thursday, we are talking about dealing with anxiety. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious at this time, we have got beautiful Claire, who is going to be helping us through all of that. So again, I just want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to everybody involved. Please do post your comments below if you've got any questions. Olivia, I'm sure will be back. And Olivia, you will post, remind us again, the name of your company is?
So we're Hayworth Gordon. The website is www.hayworthgordon.com, and we manage everything from decluttering, life coaching, home management systems. I do interior design, and we also do lettings, so residential lettings and property management.
Fantastic.
Everything to make your home a wonderful place.
Brilliant. Well, thank you everybody again for your time, and we
have
will
a nice evening.
Yes, we'll see you back on Wednesday, hopefully. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye. And we're done. Amazing.
Okay.
Well done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to cut you off, Olivia. We could have been there for hours, but.
Oh, I know. Well, oh, you're brilliant. Thank you for joining in and keeping me sort of back where I needed to be. But I felt like it was a really important topic rather than just the sort of practicalities of clearing out your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Russ. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Russell.
If you could forward me the recording, that'd be lovely, please.
I will do. Yeah, I'll just stop recording.